The oceans are unbelievably deep and wide, covering more than 70% of our planet. And let's be honest, we have no idea what's really down there. It's like a giant, mysterious world full of the weirdest stuff you can possibly imagine. We've explored more of outer space than our own oceans, which is completely insane when you think about it. Every time we send a camera down to the depths, we find something new and bizarre that looks like it came straight out of a horror movie. But sometimes we don't even have to go looking for these strange things. Sometimes they come to us. After a big storm or just on a random Tuesday, something massive and unidentifiable washes up on the beach. People find these incredible, sometimes terrifying sea monsters just lying in the sand, leaving everyone wondering what else is lurking beneath the waves. These discoveries can be anything from a giant squid to a mysterious hairy blob that scientists can't even identify right away. So today, we're going to dive into the craziest things the ocean has ever spit out onto our shores. I've compiled the most shocking, the most massive, and the most bizarre finds from all over the world. Get ready, because you won't believe some of these are real. Here are the 20 weirdest sea creatures ever found on the beach. Kicking off our list at number 20 is something straight out of a sci-fi nightmare that appeared on Australia's famous Bondi beach. Imagine you're going for a morning jog, and you see this enormous, fleshy, tentacled thing tangled up on the sand. It looks like the Kraken has finally decided to make an appearance, and it's surrounded by what looks like a military quarantine zone. People were freaking out, taking pictures and posting online that a real-life sea monster had just washed ashore. It was a massive scene. This thing was huge, with slimy-looking tentacles spreading out across the beach, and there were even props that looked like they belonged to a scientific or military team that was there to investigate. It was the perfect setup for a viral mystery. Is it an alien? Is it a previously unknown deep-sea creature that we've finally discovered? The internet went absolutely wild with theories, and for a moment, everyone was convinced that we had our first real-life monster encounter. People were debating if it was a sign of the apocalypse or just some undiscovered species. But here's the crazy part, it was all fake. It turns out the entire scene was an incredibly elaborate marketing stunt for the show Stranger Things 4. The monster was a hyper-realistic sculpture, and the military props were all part of the set. They totally fooled everyone. But let me ask you, if you saw this on your beach, would you think it was aliens or a sea monster? Let me know in the comments below what your first reaction would be. Alright, for number 19 we have something that's going to make you question everything. A picture started circulating online of this absolutely bizarre creature. It had the body of what looked like some kind of fish, but its head was just wrong. It looked like it had been photoshopped by someone trying to create the weirdest animal possible. The colors were off, the proportions were strange, and it had features that just didn't seem to belong together. It looked like a science experiment gone horribly wrong. The image immediately sparked a massive debate. On one side, you had people screaming that it was obviously fake. They pointed out the weird lighting, the strange textures, and how it just didn't look like any known animal. They were convinced it was a clever hoax designed to go viral. On the other side, you had people arguing that the ocean is full of undiscovered species, and this could be one of them. They claimed that deep-sea creatures often look bizarre to us because they're adapted to extreme environments. This is where you guys come in. I want you to be the judge. Take a good look at this thing. Do you think it's a real undiscovered sea monster, or is it just a really well-done piece of digital art? This is a serious debate, and I want to know what my subscribers think. Go down to the comments right now and use the hashtag #FancyTopic and tell me if you think this is real or altered. Let's see if we can solve this mystery together. Coming in at number 18, we have a creature that is literally the stuff of legends. In 2013, two massive oarfish washed ashore in Southern California just days apart, and it caused a huge stir. The first one was discovered by a marine science instructor while snorkeling. It was an incredible 18 feet long. Can you imagine just swimming along and bumping into an 18-foot-long sea serpent? That would be terrifying. A few days later, another one, this time about 14 feet long, washed up on a different beach. Oarfish are incredibly rare to see because they live in the deep ocean, thousands of feet below the surface. They are the longest bony fish in the world and can grow up to 50 feet long. Because of their long, ribbon-like bodies and the way they swim, many scientists believe that ancient sailors who saw them thought they were sea serpents. So, these creatures are likely the origin of all those old sea monster myths and legends you hear about in pirate stories. But here's where it gets even weirder. In Japanese folklore, these fish are known as messengers from the sea god's palace, and it's believed that when they wash ashore, it's a sign of an impending earthquake. While scientists say there's no proven link, it's a spooky coincidence that these deep-sea dwellers would surface right before seismic activity. It makes you wonder what they know that we don't. Seeing one on the beach is both an amazing and an ominous sight. Chapter 4. At number 17 we're talking about a true giant of the ocean. In 2020 the carcass of an enormous whale washed up on a beach in Indonesia. This thing was absolutely massive, measuring an insane 75 feet long. To put that in perspective, that's longer than a bowling lane and almost as long as 2 school buses parked end to end. Locals were completely stunned to see such a colossal creature on their shores. It was so big that from a distance it just looked like a giant gray rock that had appeared overnight. Scientists who saw the photos believed it was most likely a blue whale, which is not just the largest animal in the ocean, but the largest animal that has ever existed on Earth, even bigger than the biggest dinosaurs. An adult blue whale can reach up to 100 feet long and weigh as much as 200 tons. Their hearts alone are the size of a small car. Finding one of these magnificent creatures washed ashore is an incredibly rare and sad event, but it's also a powerful reminder of the sheer scale of life in our oceans. Unfortunately, before marine biologists could get to the site to perform a full examination and determine the cause of death, the tide came in and washed the massive carcass back out to sea. It was a huge loss for science, as studying a creature like this can provide invaluable information about the species and the health of the ocean. The mystery of how this specific whale died was washed away with it, leaving only the incredible photos and the awe of the people who saw it. Chapter 5. Next up at number 16 is a story that's less about a monster and more about a majestic giant. In North Sulawesi, Indonesia, villagers on a remote beach came across an absolutely massive sea turtle stranded on the sand. This wasn't just any turtle, it was a giant leatherback sea turtle, the largest species of turtle in the world. This particular one was huge, estimated to be over 7 feet long and weighing well over 1,000 pounds. It was so big it looked prehistoric. Leatherback turtles are incredible. They don't have a hard, bony shell like other turtles. Instead, their back is covered by a leathery, oil-saturated skin, which is where they get their name. They are champion swimmers and can dive deeper than almost any other marine reptile, reaching depths of over 4,000 feet. Seeing one up close on a beach is an extremely rare and special event, as they spend almost their entire lives in the open ocean. Instead of being afraid or treating it like a monster, the local villagers knew exactly what they had found, a protected and endangered species that needed their help. A huge group of them worked together, digging a path in the sand and gently pushing and guiding the colossal turtle back towards the water. It was an amazing effort of community and conservation. After a lot of hard work, they successfully returned the gentle giant to the ocean, watching as it swam away into the deep. Chapter 6. Now for number 15 we're getting back to the truly weird. Imagine this, a gigantic white hairy blob washes up on a beach. That's exactly what happened in the Bering Sea, on the coast of Siberia. This thing was enormous, it smelled terrible, and it had what looked like long stringy hair or fur all over it. It was so strange that the locals who found it had no idea what it could be. They said it looked like some kind of bizarre octopus with a hairy tail. The pictures went viral instantly and people started calling it the Arctic globster. A globster is a term for an unidentified organic mass that washes up on a shoreline. The internet exploded with theories. Was it some kind of undiscovered woolly sea monster from the deep? Was it the remains of a prehistoric mammoth that had been frozen in ice and just thawed out? The creature's strange appearance, with its white color and hair-like fibers, baffled everyone, including some initial experts who saw the photos. After a lot of speculation, marine biologists were finally able to offer a more scientific, though slightly less exciting explanation. They determined that the mysterious hairy monster was most likely the decomposing carcass of a large whale, possibly a beluga or a sperm whale. The hair wasn't actually hair at all. It was decomposing muscle tissue and collagen fibers that separate as the body breaks down in the water. So, while it wasn't a mythical beast, the sight of a whale decomposing in such a strange way is still one of the weirdest things you could ever find on a beach. For number 14, we're heading to the UK, where a truly massive and mysterious creature washed up on Ainsdale Beach near Liverpool. This thing was a beast, estimated to weigh around 15 tons and measuring about 50 feet long. When people first saw it, they were completely shocked. It was a huge, decomposing mass of flesh and bones that was so badly decayed, it was almost impossible to identify. It had flippers and a spine, but its overall shape was just bizarre. The local man who found it described it as being about 4 car lengths long and said the stench was unbearable. Photos of the Ainsdale anomaly, as it was nicknamed, spread like wildfire. People started speculating about what it could be. Some thought it was a group of dead whales that had somehow gotten stuck together. Others, seeing its strange shape and size, let their imaginations run wild, suggesting it could be a real-life sea monster that had died and washed ashore. One person even said it looked like a cow. The official investigation didn't solve the mystery immediately. Because of the advanced state of decomposition, even experts had a hard time making a positive identification. They confirmed it was a member of the whale family, most likely a fin whale or a sperm whale, but they couldn't be 100% certain. The carcass was so big and decayed that they eventually had to just bury it on the beach. To this day, the Ainsdale anomaly remains one of the biggest and most mysterious globsters ever found in the UK. At number 13, we're going back to Indonesia, a place that seems to be a magnet for giant sea creatures. In 2017, a colossal 50-foot-long carcass washed up on the shores of Sperm Island, and it completely baffled the locals. This thing was so big and bloated that it didn't look like anything they had ever seen before. The most shocking part was that as it decomposed, it turned the surrounding water bright red, making it look like the scene of a massive, bloody battle. The villagers were terrified. They had no idea what this creature was. Some thought it was a giant squid because of what looked like massive tentacles. Others thought it might be some kind of mythical beast, a sign of a curse or bad omen. The sheer size of the creature, combined with the blood-red water, created a truly frightening and surreal scene. They pleaded with the government and military to come and help them remove the giant monster from their beach. After samples were taken and analyzed by marine experts, the mystery was finally solved. It wasn't a giant squid or a mythical monster, but the remains of a bride's whale. These are large baleen whales that can be found in tropical waters. The reason it looked so strange was because of the advanced decomposition and the massive buildup of gas inside the body, which caused it to bloat to an unrecognizable shape. The tentacles were likely just strips of blubber and tissue. Still, can you imagine finding a 50-foot blood-leaking monster on your local beach? Coming in at number 12 is a creature that proves monsters don't have to be huge to be terrifying. After Hurricane Harvey hit Texas, a woman walking on a beach in Texas City discovered something straight out of a nightmare. It was a grayish, tube-shaped creature with no visible eyes, a mouthful of razor-sharp fangs, and a long, slender body. It looked like some kind of alien eel from the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean. She had no idea what it was, so she posted the pictures online asking for help. The photos immediately went viral. The creature was so weird-looking that nobody could agree on what it was. It had the fangs of a predator, but its body was soft and almost featureless. It looked like something you'd see in the movie Alien. Biologists and fish experts from all over the world started weighing in, and even they were stumped at first. The top theories were some kind of eel, but its teeth didn't seem to match any common species. Eventually, the experts reached a consensus. They believed the creature was a tusky eel, also known as a fang-toothed snake eel. These eels live in the deep waters of the Gulf of Mexico and are rarely seen by humans. The hurricane's powerful storm surge likely churned up the ocean floor and dragged this poor creature from its home, dumping it on the beach. It's a creepy reminder that there are countless strange creatures living just off our coasts that we know almost nothing about. For number 11, we're heading back to Russia for one of the most enduring modern sea monster mysteries. In 2006, Russian soldiers stationed on Sakhalin Island, a remote spot in the North Pacific, discovered the remains of a creature unlike anything they had ever seen. It was about 14 feet long, with a long, bird-like beak full of teeth, and its skin seemed to be covered in what looked like fur or hair. It was a bizarre combination of features that didn't match any known animal. The soldiers were completely baffled. The creature's skull looked like a bird's, but its body was more like a crocodile's, and the fur was just unexplainable. They took photos and sent them to local experts, but no one could identify it. The story hit news outlets and the creature was dubbed the Squid Monster. Theories ranged from it being a prehistoric reptile like an ichthyosaur that had been preserved in permafrost, to some kind of mutated animal. To this day, the identity of the Squid Monster remains a complete mystery. Some scientists later suggested it could be the highly decomposed carcass of a beaked whale, or even a large dolphin, arguing the fur was just decaying tissue. However, the skull's shape and the presence of teeth don't perfectly match those explanations. The original remains were eventually taken away by Russian special services, and have never been seen again, leaving the world with only the strange photos and the lingering mystery of what this creature really was. Coming in at number 10, we have a creature that has fueled sea monster legends for centuries, the giant squid. In 2020, a fully intact 14-foot-long giant squid washed ashore on a beach near Cape Town, South Africa. This was an incredibly rare event. Giant squid live in the abyss, thousands of feet deep, and are almost never seen alive. Most of what we know about them comes from carcasses like this one or from the sucker marks they leave on sperm whales, their main predator. To see one in person must have been breathtaking and terrifying. This squid was a juvenile, but it was still massive. The largest giant squid ever recorded was a mind-boggling 59 feet long and weighed almost a ton. They have the largest eyes of any living creature on Earth, as big as dinner plates, which help them see in the pitch-black darkness of the deep sea. Finding a specimen in such perfect condition was a huge opportunity for scientists. The team that recovered the squid was ecstatic. They could study its anatomy in detail, from its powerful tentacles and suckers to its sharp, parrot-like beak that it uses to tear apart prey. They took samples to learn more about its genetics, diet, and life cycle. While it's sad that the magnificent creature died, its body provided a priceless window into the world of one of the planet's most elusive and legendary animals. It's a real-life kraken, delivered right to the beach. At number 9, we're moving from the ocean to a river, but this creature is so massive it deserves a spot on this list. In 2022, fishermen on the Mekong River in Cambodia caught something they couldn't believe. A giant freshwater stingray that was 13 feet long from its snout to the tip of its tail and weighed an incredible 661 pounds. This wasn't just a big fish. It was officially declared the largest freshwater fish ever recorded in history. This female stingray, nicknamed Borami, which means full moon in the Khmer language, was an absolute giant. The team of international scientists and local fishermen who caught her were stunned by her size. Capturing and moving her was a massive operation involving dozens of people. Giant freshwater stingrays are an endangered species, and very little is known about them. So finding such a large and healthy specimen was a monumental discovery for science. Instead of keeping or selling the giant creature, the fishermen contacted scientists from the Wonders of the Mekong project. The team worked quickly to measure, weigh, and tag the stingray with an acoustic tracker before releasing her back into the river. This tracker will allow scientists to monitor her movements and learn about the secret life of these mysterious river giants for the first time ever. It was an amazing moment of conservation that will help protect this incredible species for the future. For number 8, we have a gentle giant. In 2021, a massive 26-foot-long shark washed up dead on a beach in Bremen, Maine. Now, when people hear 26-foot shark, they immediately think of Jaws, but this was a completely different kind of beast. It was a basking shark, the second largest fish in the world after the whale shark. Despite their enormous size, these sharks are completely harmless to humans. They're filter feeders, meaning they swim slowly with their gigantic mouths wide open, filtering plankton out of the water. Seeing this colossal fish on the beach was honestly a spectacle. A basking shark's mouth can be over 3 feet wide, and the sight of it, even in death, is incredible. Scientists from the Marine Mammals of Maine organization were called in to perform a necropsy, which is basically an animal autopsy, right there on the beach. They wanted to figure out why this huge shark died. It's a sad sight, but it provides a rare chance to study these elusive animals up close. The necropsy was a huge undertaking requiring heavy machinery to move parts of the shark. The scientists took samples of its tissues, organs, and bones to learn more about its health, diet, and the potential threats these giants face in the ocean, like ship strikes or entanglement in fishing gear. While the cause of death for this particular shark wasn't immediately clear, the information gathered helps researchers understand and protect these magnificent slow-moving giants of the sea. At number 7, we have a truly tragic and monumental discovery. In 2016, a single event shocked the UK as not one, not two, but 3 massive sperm whales washed ashore on the coast of Skegness. Just a few days earlier, 2 other whales from the same pod had been found on a nearby beach, bringing the total to 5. These were all young males, and seeing so many of these deep ocean giants stranded on the sand was a heartbreaking and baffling sight. Sperm whales are the largest toothed predators on Earth, famous from the Moby Dick story. They can dive to depths of over 7,000 feet to hunt giant squid. They normally live in deep offshore waters, so for an entire pod to get lost and stranded in the shallow North Sea was a major catastrophe. The beaches were crowded with people who came to see the enormous creatures, which were each over 50 feet long and weighed more than 30 tons. Scientists and rescue teams worked around the clock, but sadly, the whales couldn't be saved. The weight of their own bodies on land crushes their internal organs. The main theory is that the lead whale of the pod got disoriented while hunting for squid, and led the others into the shallow, confusing waters of the North Sea, from which they couldn't escape. It was a powerful and sad reminder of how even the most powerful animals in the ocean can fall victim to the dangers of their environment. Next up at number 6 is another case of a mysterious globster, this time from the Philippines. In 2017, a 20-foot-long, shaggy white blob washed ashore in the province of Dinagat Islands, sparking fear and fascination among locals. The creature was so strange and covered in what looked like long white hair that no one could tell what it was. It was dubbed the Dinagat Blob, and photos quickly went viral, with people guessing it was some kind of undiscovered sea monster. The timing of the blob's appearance was particularly spooky, as it washed up shortly after an earthquake had struck the region. This led many locals to believe the creature was a bad omen, or that its appearance was connected to the seismic activity. Was it a mythical creature from folklore, disturbed from its deep-sea lair by the earthquake? The mystery and the creature's bizarre look fueled all kinds of wild speculation online and in the community. However, just like the hairy monster in Siberia, science had a more logical explanation. After examining the mass, local officials and marine biologists concluded that it was the highly decomposed carcass of a whale, likely a sperm whale. The hair was, once again, the result of decaying muscle and connective tissue fibers. The body had turned white from the advanced state of decay. While not a mythical beast, it was still an incredible and surreal sight. At number 5 we have, maybe the most famous modern beach mystery of all time, the Montauk Monster. So, back in 2008, this strange, bloated carcass washed up on a beach in Montauk, Long Island, New York. The creature had this leathery, totally hairless body, some seriously sharp teeth, and a face that honestly kinda looked like it had a beak. It didn't match any known animal, and the photos, which were snapped by a local woman, just exploded online overnight. Everybody went wild trying to figure out what this thing could be. Was it a dog, a raccoon, maybe a turtle without its shell, or, was it something way more sinister? Some folks even pointed to the nearby Plum Island Animal Disease Center, which is this secretive government lab, and started speculating that the monster was actually some kind of escaped experiment. The story got picked up by news outlets all over the world, and suddenly, Montauk Monster was a household name. Even now, there isn't a clear answer. The most widely accepted scientific theory says it was just the decomposed body of a raccoon, with the water and decay messing up its features and making its hair fall out. But honestly, a lot of people don't buy that. The proportions just seem off, and since the carcass mysteriously disappeared before anyone could do official scientific tests, the Montauk Monster is still an unsolved mystery and a legendary piece of internet folklore. So what do you think it was? Coming in at number 4 is a creature that's even bigger and honestly way more mysterious than the giant squid, the Colossal Squid. In 2014, a fishing vessel out in the Ross Sea off the coast of Antarctica managed to pull up something totally historic from the deep. It was a colossal squid, weighing an incredible 770 pounds and measuring over 11 feet long, even though its tentacles were damaged. This was only the second time an intact specimen of this species had ever been found. What makes the colossal squid so terrifying isn't just its massive size, it's the weapons it has. Unlike the giant squid, which has suckers lined with tiny teeth, the colossal squid's tentacles are loaded with swiveling, razor-sharp hooks. It's an apex predator of the Antarctic deep, a real monster if there ever was one. Plus, it has the largest eyes in the entire animal kingdom, even bigger than the giant squids, up to 11 inches across, which is about the size of a human head, so it can spot prey in the pitch-black depths. The fishermen made sure to carefully preserve this massive creature, and it was sent all the way to a museum in New Zealand. There, scientists actually performed a public dissection, and it was live-streamed to the whole world. It was a super rare chance to study one of the planet's most mysterious animals. They got to examine its gigantic eyes, those deadly hooked tentacles, and even its 3 hearts. Finding this real-life kraken frozen in the Antarctic is honestly as close as we've ever come to discovering a true sea monster. At number 3, we have one of the weirdest looking fish in the entire ocean. So, a couple walking along a remote beach in South Australia came across a truly bizarre sight. A massive ocean sunfish, or Mola, washed up on the sand. This thing was absolutely huge, estimated to be about 6 feet long and weighing several hundred pounds. But, it's not just their size that's strange, it's their shape. They look like a giant swimming head with 2 fins, and their body looks like it was chopped in half. Ocean sunfish are actually the heaviest bony fish in the world, with some individuals reaching over 10 feet long and weighing more than 5,000 pounds. That's heavier than a pickup truck. They spend their lives cruising in the open ocean, feeding on jellyfish. Despite their intimidating size, they're slow-moving and harmless. Seeing one on the beach is a weird experience because, honestly, they look so alien and out of place. The couple who found it were shocked. At first they thought it was a large piece of driftwood because of its strange shape and rigid appearance. It was only when they got closer that they realized it was a massive fish. The discovery really highlighted just how strange the creatures living off the Australian coast can be. The Mola is a perfect example of how nature's designs can be far weirder than anything we could ever imagine. For our runner-up at number 2, we have one of the rarest and most mysterious sharks in the world. In 2015, a 15-foot-long Megamouth shark was found dead, washed ashore on a beach in the Philippines. This was an unbelievably rare find. The Megamouth shark is so elusive that since its discovery in 1976, fewer than 100 have ever been seen by humans. Finding one washed up is a major event for the scientific community. The reason they're called Megamouth is pretty obvious. They have an enormous, rubbery mouth that can be up to 4 feet wide. Like the basking shark, they are filter feeders. They swim slowly through the ocean with their massive mouths wide open, gulping down plankton and jellyfish. They have a silvery, bioluminescent lining inside their mouths that might help attract prey in the dark depths where they live, sometimes as deep as 15,000 feet. The dead shark became a local spectacle, with villagers and tourists flocking to see the bizarre-looking creature. Scientists were able to take samples before it was buried, adding to the very limited knowledge we have about this species. Every single Megamouth encounter, whether alive or dead, is a precious opportunity to learn about their biology, behavior, and distribution. It's a true ghost of the deep, and finding one is like finding a living fossil. And at the number 1 spot, the weirdest and one of the biggest sea creatures ever found on a beach, we have another Mola. But this wasn't just any Mola, it was a completely different and even rarer species. In 2019, a 7-foot giant, known as a hoodwinker sunfish, washed up on a beach in Santa Barbara, California. What makes this number 1 is that this species was not supposed to be there, at all. The hoodwinker sunfish, or Mola tecta, was only officially discovered and named as a new species in 2017. Scientists believed it lived exclusively in the southern hemisphere, near Australia, New Zealand, and Chile. No one had ever seen one in the northern hemisphere. So when this massive 7-foot specimen appeared on a California beach, it completely baffled the scientific community. It was like finding a wild kangaroo hopping around in Canada. An intern at the University of California, Santa Barbara saw a post about the strange fish online and went to investigate. She realized it wasn't the common Mola and contacted experts, including the very scientist who discovered the species. They confirmed it was indeed a hoodwinker, thousands of miles from its known home. How it got there is a complete mystery. This discovery didn't just showcase a weird creature, it completely rewrote our understanding of its habitat, proving the ocean is still full of surprises and that its inhabitants can hoodwink even the top experts. And that's a wrap on 20 of the absolute weirdest and biggest sea creatures ever found washed up on our beaches. From giant hairy blobs that turned out to be whales to mysterious monsters that are still unidentified, the ocean is constantly reminding us just how little we know about what's swimming beneath the surface. It's insane to think that a fish could wash up thousands of miles from its home and completely stump scientists. The deep sea is the last true frontier on Earth, and these discoveries are like postcards from a hidden world. Every time one of these creatures appears, it sparks our imagination and curiosity. What else is down there? Are there even bigger, stranger things we haven't discovered yet? I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. These stories are mind-blowing, and I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments which sea creature surprised you the most. Was it the fake octopus from Stranger Things, the Montauk Monster, or the globe-trotting hoodwinker Sunfish? Seriously, your comments help the channel a ton, so go type something down below. And before you go, like this video, smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell, or this centipede will crawl on your face while you're sleeping. We post crazy videos like this all the time, and you don't want to miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.